Hey friends, the Hermes Kelly handbag is by far one of the most famous handbags ever created in the world. And named after Grace Kelly, absolute stunner from 1977 I believe. It has inspired so many other brands to do similar things, and it's made its way into so many hands. It's made its way into the hands of so many celebrities and supermodels and famous people around the world. Is absolutely unbelievable. The most iconic part of the Hermes Kelly handbag is by far the handle. It makes the handbag absolutely spectacular, and today I will show you exactly how to make one. So before I ramble on too much, we're going to dive straight in and get started with this. I'm now going to draw a semicircle on the end, and you'll see why in a second. That's all you have to do. The reason I've done 3 different layers, 3 different colours, is so that it's easier to keep track of how much of each one I've taken off. That's the only reason I've done that. As you can see, I've drawn a line down the middle, and that's just to aim for, I'll be curving that over, but that's just for the initial shave. Just to start it off, I'm going to be using a French edger. Continuously checking the end compared to how much I've taken off, so I can keep track of that shape. Take your time when you're shaving these edges down. Before I start on the other side, I am actually going to take some sandpaper and smooth down the edge. There we go. Nice and smooth, nice and curved. As you can see, that's the reason I put the different colour layers in, so that I can keep track of exactly which one needs more or which one needs less in terms of sanding. Just got to do it on the other side now. I'll be back in a moment. Now drawn a line at 7 centimeters on both ends, and I'm going to thin this from the full thickness down to 1 layer from there to there with a rounded appearance. The first thing I'm going to do is skive off the majority of that thickness. As you can see, we're down to 1 layer. Now that's skived down, I'll just sandpaper it. Alright guys, so I've cut out the outside stuff. I'm using a jig for this, so this is really good for this sort of thing. It's got a punching mat on the outside as well, so you don't have to fiddle with trying to punch around other things. If you don't have a jig, just go ahead and use like a pipe or something. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some double-sided sticky tape on the jig. And we're going to put a few pieces on because we don't want this to move whilst we're actually making our handle. Going to push that down so it sticks well and just cut the excess off so it's not flapping about. So this is going to be the main structure of the handle, and you'll see that come together in a minute. So we're going to put a line down the middle of it. So this is 3.8. Just as a test fit, we're going to put this down the middle, like this. I'm now going to put a line down the middle of the back of this. There we go. Put a line down the middle. We're going to put some adhesive, contact adhesive down the middle of this and on the back of there, but we're not going to cover the rest of it just yet. Start with the middle. And press that down hard to make sure that it's properly adhered to the main structure. Now the glue's all dry, as you can see, because it's gone completely clear. We're going to attach the top layer of leather. So we're going to put it on the side. Don't worry, it won't stick to anything else because it can't. It will only stick to itself, like that. And then you've got to put tension on it so that it fits all the way around. And it won't go to the very end. But don't worry about that because it doesn't need to. Now we've got that beautiful hump going, is to very gently start to mould it. I'm going to start with my fingers, a little bit at a time. Don't put your finger down and then push it because you'll get waves. You just want to go a little bit at a time and do both sides if you feel brave. Once you've started it, get your bone folder and start massaging that down into the crack. And then push the sides down. And there we go. That mould is done. The next thing to do is to get your wing divider, set it to 3mm, and we're going to use it to mark all the way round because we're using this to mark our stitching line, because our pricking irons are going to go directly next to the moulding itself, and then 3mm away is going to be where our cut line is. And we're going to cut out where we have marked our 3mm. flip it over and do it the same on the other side. And now it's time to take it off. Carefully. It will be a bit difficult because of the double-sided tape we used. Leave the tape on there because we'll use it again in a minute. And we're going to trim the edges now. So this will fold back up. So we're going to trim from the end of the cut to the end, and it will be 2 centimeters. So we'll be cutting in a line from there to there, which is 2 centimeters, 1 centimeter from the edge. Left with that shape, which will bend back up behind it. Using a number 3 punch, which is what I recommend for this project. Okay, so next I will be skiving from this mark here to the end, which is 2 centimeters from the end of the padding, as you can see there. So this is 2 centimeters to there. It's important to have a really sharp skiving knife for this. The glue's dry, so we're going to put our loop through the end, and you want to get it as close to the threads as you can without it obviously touching the threads, like on this end. Don't worry about there being a little bit of excess, we'll trim that off. You're going to be doing exactly the same thing as you did for the top one. I've just done it off camera to speed it up a little bit. One tip is fold the hump in half so it doesn't stick to the rest of the glue whilst you're doing it. Give it a good squeeze. The lining, the part that goes completely underneath, what you want to do is skive down about 5 mil to 0 on each end, on the last stitch of each end. So the last stitch, you want to use your awl, poke through and put a needle there. So when you put your lining in, you push it up against that needle so that you've got one stitch going over the end and the rest of them not. So we're going to push that up against there, push it down, and then very lightly lay it down on the rest. Use your thumbs just to make sure that the sides are all nice and stuck down. And now we're ready to stitch it. So as we stitch, we're going to start 3 back, go forward and then back, just how you'd stitch normally. Casting is not necessary in this, because we're not going to see the back of this at all, so you don't need to cast. Pull the end tight, because that's what will keep it together. When you use your awl, make sure that you come out just next to the hump on the back. So you can use your finger to find where the hump is and go in just next to it. Let's snip the ends off. Sand it and finish it. Obviously when you're making this for your own project, make sure you paint all the way round. Skip this part out for this video, but when you're actually making this for yourself, before you fold this over, paint all the way around here. Hey friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. This handle is such a unique and beautiful design, as can be seen by the millions of bags that are sold with this handle on it. Not just Hermes, but so many other bags are now using this style of handle. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch one of my other videos. I made one about the rolled handle, which is used within the Hermes Birkin bag, probably one of the other most famous bags ever created. So thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you next time. Take care.